Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we shall be doing a competitive review and deep dive of Lord Marshal Drier. The aim of this video is to go through everything on the Lord Marshal's datasheet and then try and work out how it factors into the big picture to determine if he is someone that you want in your competitive and tournament lists. Considering that this will be a Death Court of Krieg video and how popular they are with the fan base, I think this is going to be an especially important episode, as there are going to be a lot of people who will be considering getting the Lord Marshal and want to know if he is worth it. So without further ado, let's mount up and charge right into this thing. To start off, let us look at Lord Marshal Drier's stat line.
Attention guardsmen! The Commissariat has detected you have not yet liked this video. Do so immediately or else you will face the Emperor's wrath. And anyone who has not yet subscribed to the channel will be transferred to the penal battalions. That is all. Move out!
He has a movement value of 10 inches. This is more than the usual for a guard infantry model, who tends to move about 6 inches, but is a little bit slower than Lord Solar Leontus, who gets to gallop around at 12 inches. Normally, I don't worry too much about the movement of guard officers because the idea is they are force multipliers and they'll either be sitting back, handing orders out in the case of the Lord Solar, or they'll just be marching forward at pace with the rest of the unit that they're part of. But with Lord Marshal Drier's case, we actually do need to consider it. And unfortunately, right from the get-go, we're going to encounter problems. You see, the Lord Marshal is meant to be the premier melee character of the Imperial Guard. And so the fact that he actually has a slower movement than someone like Lord Solar Leontus is actually a bit of a pisser. In an ideal world, the Lord Solar would only have a 10-inch movement and Drier would have a 12-inch movement. But him being a couple of inches slower does make a big difference because he is a combat character. He needs every single inch to make sure he can close the gap as quickly as possible and also make it more reliable when it comes to his charges. Because he doesn't want to be rolling 2d6 and doing that from 7, 8, 9 inches away. He wants to be getting as close as possible and making that random charge distance as reliable as possible. It might seem like I'm making a really big deal out of just a couple of inches of movement, but when you are a combat character, movement and delivery are probably the most important factor. And this guy being slower than ideal is something you need to be aware of. Moving on to the rest of his profile, he has got toughness 4, a 4+ save, a 4+ invulnerable save, and 6 wounds. This is a reasonable defensive profile, especially with that 4+ invulnerable save. That's actually really nice. If you get a little bit lucky, that 4+ invulnerable save could save Lord Marshal Drier in a pinch. If someone's hitting you with some low volume but high damage attacks, having an invulnerable save and just getting a couple of 4+s could be the difference between life and death. Overall, I'm perfectly satisfied with his defensive profile. He's not going to be going toe-to-toe with some of the likes like Gilliman or the Lion or anything like that, but it would feel wrong if he could. At the end of the day, he is only human. Rounding out the profile, we've got Leadership 7 and Objective Control of 2. Both of these are perfectly adequate. Nothing to write home about, just standard issue. As is the case with all guard officers, Lord Marshal Drier's stat line is not the only thing he should be being judged on. He should be judged also on his ability as a force multiplier. But uniquely, we do actually really give a crap about his own damage output. Normally with guard officers, we just don't care. Oh, you get a plasma pistol, sweet. Oh, you get a power fist, sweet. You'll probably never use them. You might fire that plasma pistol once or twice per game, whatever, fine, no dramas. But Drier is a combat character, so we actually have to care about his stat line because he's going to be using it, because he's going to be in the thick of it, and we have to care about the damage output that he brings. And on top of that, we have to care about him being a force multiplier because he is still a guard officer. And unfortunately, in many of these regards, Lord Marshal Drier really does come up very short. Beginning with his weapons and war gear, he comes equipped with a las pistol. Now, he does come with some other bits as well, but I'm not going to let that one go. This is meant to be our premier combat character. He should have more than a las pistol. He should have some epic named 3-shot melter pistol. But he has just a las pistol. And straight away, that's not a good sign. But maybe his Saber of Sacrifice, his unique bit of war gear, his main damage output will save the day. Well, unfortunately, no. Whilst it is anti-infantry 4+, and that does play very nicely into his leading the charge ability, which we'll get to in a moment, his damage output is shockingly low. He has 6 attacks, which is reasonable volume. He has weapons skill 2+, which is solid. He's got a strength of 6, which is okay. But okay, I guess the strength isn't all that important because he's anti-infantry 4+. Okay, fine. AP 2. Okay, again, not great. And then damage 1. Damage 1 is the killer. Damage 1 is absolutely the killer. This guy, I'm just going to say it. It feels like he's worse in combat than Lord Solar Leontus. And Lord Solar Leontus is a glorified pen pusher. Lord Solar Leontus has a better pistol than him. Lord Solar Leontus does more damage, has a more damage weapon than him in combat. I know why they've done it. And we do need to sort of skip ahead a little bit and look at leading the charge here. I know why they've done it. But frankly, this weapon is a bad joke without a punchline. And for someone who is meant to be our #1 combat character, the fact that he's going to kill like an intercessor and a half, maybe 2, is just ridiculous. The fact that if he's lucky, he'll kill a single Gravis Marine is ridiculous. For those of you that are new to the Guard, you may not appreciate some of the history behind Lord Marshal Drier, but he actually replaced another combat character that we had called Colonel Ironhand Strachan. Colonel Ironhand Strachan could go toe-to-toe with some of the biggest beasties in the game. In fact, I have had him single-handedly take on a Tyrannid Hive Tyrant in melee. There is no way that Lord Marshal Drier could do that. He did it single-handedly as well. So why is this weapon damage 1? Why is this weapon so damn mid? Well, it comes down to leading the charge. So leading the charge is the main ability of Lord Marshal Drier. Each time this model's unit makes a charge move until the end of the turn, melee weapons are clipped by models in that unit have the devastating wounds ability. So that is pretty good. And when you combine it with the fact that he's anti-infantry 4+, it means that Drier should go swinging in with his 6 attacks. He'll drop 1 of them, and then he'll be doing dev wounds against infantry on a 4+. So on average, he's going to get 2.5. We'll be generous. We'll say he'll get like 3 devastating wounds, but they're only damage 1. So even being generous to him, on average, he does 3 dev wounds. Now, to be fair, we can take into account his Savage Claws as well, which should add an extra hit in there. So maybe that's how you guarantee you get the extra dev wound. I'm not sure. But either way, this guy he's doing 2 to 4 maximum. If you're being really generous on the averages, he's doing like 4 dev wounds. It's not very good. It's not very good at all. The thing is that you're not meant to look at Lord Marshal Drier and see his damage output. You're meant to see the damage output that leading the charge can give to something like a big squad of Death Riders. So if we go over to the Death Rider profile for a moment, you can see that each Death Rider does D6 attacks. So if you took a big squad of 10 of these guys, you should be doing 35 attacks. Now, if you give them fixed bayonets, then they should hit with a lot of those attacks. In fact, they should realistically hit with about 30 of them. That 30 hits, combined with Lord Marshal Drier's leading the charge, should translate into about 5 dev wounds. So between the Lord Marshal, and then also you've got their Savage Claws as well. To be fair, you've got Savage Claws, which is another 20 attacks, which should get 10 hits, which should be another, being generous, couple of dev wounds. So the thing is that the Death Riders with Lord Marshal Drier should be able to charge in there and on average get something like 10 to 12 dev wounds on the charge. So fundamentally, that does make him a pretty good force multiplier when you combine him with the Death Riders. And 10 to 12 dev wounds on average is pretty solid. I mean, that's going to be... That's good. I mean, again, that's very, very, very rough math hammer, by the way. And I don't worry too much about being too precise with math hammer because I just see it as more of a guide than something to believe blindly in. But the idea that Lord Marshal Drier could lead a big squad of Death Riders, do 10 dev wounds to most things, maybe a bit more because of his, if you're charging like infantry, his anti-infantry kicks in. So maybe you could do a bit more. It's good. It's not to be sneered at. The problem is how much this combo costs you. At time of recording, a squad of 10 Death Riders costs 120 points, and Lord Marshal Drier costs about 100 points. So he's going to be, in this full combo, costing you 220 points. That is just an eye-watering amount for what is essentially a one-hit wonder. Because you have to think that 10th edition is so lethal that these guys are going to charge in, blat something, and then die. 220 points, over 10% of your army list. It's just not worth it for one hit wonder. You could get yourself a Leman Russ of any variety, and it would do more damage over the course of the game because it's going to be firing like every single turn that Lord Marshal Drier and his big blob is going to do. And if you look at something like a Leman Russ Executioner in a combined arms attachment, you're going to save loads of points. The problem is that Lord Marshal Drier is a one-trick pony, and his trick is too expensive. And when I say he's a one-trick pony, he has a really, really big weakness on his datasheet, which is he can only join Death Riders. Now, this guy could be fixed relatively simply overnight. If you dropped him down to about 80 points, and, not or, and you gave him the ability to join Death Court of Krieg squads like Lord Solar Leontus could, he would be absolutely fixed. Because firstly, it would bring his wombo combo leading the charge thing down pretty significantly. It's a nice little discount there. And then on top of that, you could also use him as a pseudo Lord Solar, where he would be able to sit in a Krieg command blob and pass out 3 orders to other regiment units. It would actually be more like a pseudo Creed command blob. And, you know, it'd be kind of interesting because then he could do his dev wounds thing, and that could still work with the Death Court of Krieg blob. As crazy as it sounds, if Lord Marshal Drier kept his rules, went down a bit, and could join Death Court of Krieg, you could actually do a proper bayonet charge. A proper bayonet charge. I don't know if it's just me, but I bet a lot of Krieg players and a lot of Guard players just had a chill go down their spine thinking about that. Being able to actually fix bayonets and it means something would be awesome. But unfortunately, he can't join Death Court of Krieg unit, so he can't do a good bayonet charge, and he can't act as a pseudo supreme command blob. He is entirely limited to this one thing, and this one thing, like I said, is just way too expensive. It's really frustrating as well because he can do 3 orders to regiment units, but he only has a 6-inch range on his orders, and he can't get access to a Master Vox because he can only lead friggin' Death Riders. Such a missed opportunity. There's so many things on this datasheet which just don't make sense. His weapons don't make sense. The amount of orders he can do doesn't make sense. The fact he's so limited to what he can lead just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. We do have some other bits on his datasheet here, like tough to kill. The first time model destroyed, roll 1d6 at the end of the phase and 2+ sets model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range of any enemy units with D3 wounds remaining. So that's nice that he can get back up, but he's just going to get shot to crap in the shooting phase and then get back up, and then someone's going to charge him and beat the crap out of him in the combat phase. Because the thing is, he gets back up with D3 wounds, so an average of 2. And then 5 basic intercessors, again, will just charge in and just pummel him. So he is very easy. This tough to kill thing just does nothing for him. If he came back with 4 wounds, maybe it'd be worth it. But the fact he comes back with an average of 2 just means that he'll just get shot down, and then some spare melee will just knock him down permanently. And his 6-up Feel No Pain, it's not going to make a difference. He needs a 5-up Feel No Pain. He needs to get up with 4 wounds for him to be a tanky character. But he's not tanky. He's not tanky. He's very limited as a force multiplier. There's loads of bits on his datasheet which just don't quite work. I'm sorry to say it, but I just don't think this guy's very good. So we get to the end of the review, and I don't think it's going to be any surprise to anyone when I say Lord Marshal Drier gets 2 thumbs down. If I was a Gene Stealer cultist and I could give him 3 thumbs down, I would do. If I was a Gene Stealer and I had 4 arms, I'd give him 4 thumbs down. Right now, there is no reason to take Lord Marshal Drier in any way, shape, or form in any competitive list. If you want a one-shot pop disposable melee unit, just take Rough Riders. Rough Riders are 120 points. They come with Melter Lances, and they can get a spare order from a Kree Command Squad servo scribe. So it's not even, you don't even need to take into account any hidden costs with orders to do their, to get fixed bayonets, and they're faster. They get a 12-inch move, so it's like they've almost got pseudo move built in over Death Rise with Drier, and then they get fixed bayonets basically for free, and then the Melter Lances means they can threaten more targets. There's just no reason to take Drier with Death Riders over something like Rough Riders. There's no reason to have this guy on your list at time of recording. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Although I suspect this is probably an opinion that a lot of Guard players are going to share. But if you have any thoughts about how you would fix Lord Marshal Drier, get it down in the comment section below. How would you change his points? How would you change his rules? What would you do to make this guy competitive? Not just viable, because right now he's not even viable, but actually competitive. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, then subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly, the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, R.J., Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Picklock the Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.